In case you missed it, one of my favorite creative design platforms, Canva, found itself in the middle of a little bit of drama over the last week or so. The too long didn't read version of it, their terms of service were called into question when a moderator in their official Canva design group, not an employee of Canva, posted that in no uncertain terms, Canva elements could not be used for print-on-demand purposes. As you can imagine, this created a bit of a stir. This took hold in a variety of ways in the comments section, turned into a flurry of YouTube videos from different creators, further taking a stance on it, and in some ways, further stoking the flame. This post and the subsequent back and forth on could you or couldn't you for print on demand also took a foothold in a variety of different Facebook groups and community conversation boards as well. It also resulted in a whole lot of people making a mass exodus from the Canva Pro subscriptions. The post in the Facebook group was subsequently taken down and a statement was issued by Canva from an actual Canva employee saying that the previous post wasn't entirely accurate and to stay tuned for more information and all will be revealed. So for today's short and sweet video, I want to share with you, number one, what Canva is saying and how it's clarified its terms of service and frequently asked questions. Number two, reiterate what you should and shouldn't be doing with Canva elements and your print-on-demand designs. And number three, some alternative design options if you're still feeling a little bit skeptical. So if we start with the Canva design community, this is where it all started, and this is Canva's official community for designers, and it posts a lot of information here, and you can also ask a lot of questions as users. And so you can see Ed from Canva posted an update to the original post, and they've clarified with an article on their help page. So if we click on that, it will take us over to Canva, and we can read through that new guide. As you can see, this is a shortened version of their license agreement. If you want to see the full information, it is linked here as well. But if we scroll through, you can see that they've given us kind of a Reader's Digest version at the top. The short version of this is that if you are creating anything, it needs to be an original design. And then it goes on to explain what exactly that means and some terms and conditions on how that applies based on the products that you are creating or selling from Canva based on these elements. I'm not going to dive into the digital product aspect of this because there are some different nuances that go along with that. So I'm going to stick specifically to print-on-demand products that you can create using designs from Canva. In a nutshell, Canva's content license agreement does allow you to use both free and pro content to design and sell with a range of products. And as we continue scrolling, we will see more details on what they mean by that and how they define an original design. So when it says original design, it means that if you're going to use free or pro elements, you need to use them to create an original design. That means you are combining elements like images and text and illustrations to create a new creative work. This means that you need to be putting in some level of creative effort to make it your own. And you cannot use Canva content on a standalone basis to sell and make money off of these elements. Whether that's digital, print on demand, doesn't matter. You cannot sell any part of them on a standalone basis. So what does that mean exactly? It means that I can't come into Canva and simply search for an element, let's just say camping. We can't just come into the graphics and say, oh, that's a cute design. I will just put this on a t-shirt and I'm going to call it my own. I also can't just take that image, change the color, and call that my own either. That is not enough to be considered your own design and your own creation. You need to do more than just this. However, if I adjusted this image, creating a design, I'm adding more to it, I'm creating something that's unique, I'm adding multiple elements, and I'm creating something that took a little bit more than simply dropping a single image in, that's different. Now, this is a very simplified version of what I mean, but you get the point. I created something new and different by combining multiple elements, adding text, and changing it enough so that it is my own creation. This would be acceptable to sell as a print-on-demand design. And again, what would not be acceptable is if we simply started with the original design, and had something as is. That is considered standalone, even if we simply change the color, not enough. So again, if we keep scrolling through, the other area that I wanted to focus some attention on is around ownership of copyrights for designs created in Canva. This was a big part of what started the debate in the first place in that original Facebook post, because there was a lot of interpretation around ownership of copyrights and how that would be in violation for print-on-demand services because you'd need to have the rights to the copyright. So to summarize, what this section really talks about is the fact that Canva gives users a non-exclusive license to use the stock content, meaning the free and pro elements within Canva, to create designs that consist of a variety of elements and therefore can be used for a variety of uses. Again, assuming that you are following the requirement that it's not standalone. However, what it is saying is that in certain circumstances, there are print-on-demand services that require you to have full copyright ownership of your design. And in those situations, you have to be the owner of the copyright, meaning in those circumstances, you wouldn't be able to use Canva content based on that third party's service agreement, because Canva is not giving you ownership of the copyright. They are only giving you a license to use it and permission to use it. If the print-on-demand provider only requires that you have the right to use your design, then that would be acceptable under Canva's license agreement. Then that would be acceptable under Canva's terms of service, because Canva is saying that you do have the right to use it, you do have their permission, as long as you are selling it as your own design and not as a standalone basis. Now, there are a variety of print-on-demand platforms out there. I use Printify, so as an example, if we go to Printify's own terms of service, where they talk about copyright and authorization, we can see in their section here that Printify simply requires that the content you use to create products on their platform, that the content or design is either yours or you have authorization to use it. So in this case, Canva has said that they give us the right and authorization to use it as long as it complies with their content licensing agreement. And because Printify has that "or" in there and allows us to use content that we have authorization and the right to use, it is acceptable for their platform. And again, of course, they want to make sure you're also agreeing that you are not infringing on anyone's intellectual property and that you are properly following copyright and trademark rules. So in this particular instance with Printify, you are able to use Canva for your print-on-demand business as long as you're creating your own designs with a combination of Canva elements, both free and pro. Now, because print-on-demand providers are different, if you use something other than Printify, you'll want to check the terms of service for the print-on-demand provider that you're using. Now, whether that's Printful or if you're using a platform like Redbubble, those are going to be different, and you need to see what their terms of service say as relates to copyright ownership and whether you are the exclusive copyright owner or you just have permission. As long as it says you just need to have permission, you are fine. I will be the first to tell you that I think all of this drama was completely unnecessary and quite frankly just stirred the pot. Were there questions? Were their terms of service slightly unclear in some ways to leave room for interpretation and reading between the lines? Sure, most legalese things like this are. However, I think the intention from Canva has been clear all along, in that it's always been kind of a DIY designer platform, and that you should be using their services and templates and fonts and elements to help you as a tool in creating your own designs and building your own brand or creations from it. And I think their clarification simply reiterates that. This whole concept of not using elements as a standalone is the key driver in that. And again, functionally, fundamentally, we should not be using any of these elements as a standalone anyway, because everybody and their brother is using these same elements. So unless we're creating unique designs from them, you're going to look like everybody else and you're not going to stand out anyway. So I think it's always been a best practice, and it's always been what I have always communicated and told people to do in their design process, is find ways to make it your own, make it unique, stand out from the crowd. So has anything really changed in all of this? Nope. Canva just came out and made it super clear. In 99% of instances, you should feel confident in continuing to use Canva to create your unique designs for your print-on-demand business. I myself will continue using Canva. Yes, I incorporate other tools into my process. I have a Creative Fabrica subscription. I love to use Kittl. That is definitely a newer tool that I love exploring and using because there are some additional elements that I can't get in Canva. But Canva is absolutely still my go-to platform in terms of design and creating other assets for my business. It allows me to batch designs quicker, even if I'm bringing in designs that I might have created elsewhere. I can batch my designing process a lot faster. I can batch my mockups a lot faster. So I don't plan on leaving Canva anytime soon, with or without this drama that was added into the mix. But I do think it's great that they clarified this, and hopefully it will calm things down in the print-on-demand community once and for all about Canva. As a general rule of thumb for print-on-demand design, you should be coming up with your own unique designs, whether that's using a variety of elements from Canva or if you're pulling in graphics from elsewhere that you have the license to use. This is how you make yourself unique and stand out from the crowd of everybody else that's trying to copy everybody else. And you also need to make sure that your designs are not infringing on copyright or trademark. This means that you're not copying your design from someone else and taking it as your own. And it also means that you're doing your due diligence and looking at the uspto.gov website to make sure that any phrases or keywords you're using are not already registered trademarks. The only caveat with print on demand is if you happen to be using a service that requires you to make a statement that you are the owner of the copyright. This is different than saying you have the permission to use a design. This is for websites that exclusively say you must own the copyright to your design. In those instances, Canva says you can't use their elements because they are not turning over copyright license to you. They are just granting you permission to use them for commercial use. So that is where it's important to go back to your print-on-demand provider and make sure that you are not establishing yourself as the copyright owner. Beyond that, as long as you're creating your own unique designs, and if you're using Canva, as long as you're pulling in multiple elements to your design, you can absolutely use it for your print-on-demand business. Canva has now made that abundantly clear that you are able to do so. Now, if for any reason you still feel uncomfortable about using Canva, you do have a few alternatives. One, of course, you could start designing and creating your own images from scratch, whether that's through Photoshop or Procreate. There are a variety of tools where you can do that, where you're not pulling in other design elements. You could also pull in designs from places like Creative Fabrica, where you were able to purchase or have as part of a subscription access to a variety of designs that, again, you should still be changing to make your own, but those would be images that you are then uploading into Canva, not deriving them from Canva directly. And then the third option is to use a different design platform where they specifically say in their terms of service and licensing agreement that print on demand is allowed. One such service is Kittl. I recently made a video on that I will definitely link here as well. But they also make it very clear in their licensing that full commercial use is allowed, including print on demand with no restrictions. However, I think with the current information that Canva has provided and the further clarity that they have included in their help section, I do feel confident at this point that those of us who are legitimately using graphics to create our own designs from Canva and using them to build our businesses with third-party print-on-demand providers like Printify, we can absolutely continue to do that and feel comfortable in doing so. If you have further questions about the Canva licensing, I have linked the page that they provided as part of their update in the description below. And they have also indicated that you can absolutely reach out to their support because they have continued within their own teams to clarify this information so that there is no confusion among the print-on-demand community. As always, if you've got questions for me or would like further clarification, I'm happy to do my best and answer those in the comments below. I can't wait to keep helping support you on your journey with print on demand, and I'll see you next time.